Welcome back everyone to one last Cobra Kai Season 2 watch party. I've always had various observations or notes that didn't quite fit into any other video, so that's the purpose of this one. Now I'm sure some of these have been brought up elsewhere on the internet or wherever. They're minor points but still worth mentioning, as well as some viewer requests. We're going to jump around a little bit, so strap in. Let's start here.
It's been a long time since this dojo's had more than one student.
Wait, what was that? More than one student? As far as I know from established canon, until this moment where Robby and Sam were both standing there, Miyagi-Do had never had more than one student. Other than Daniel, the only other person it could be is her. I think we can reasonably assume Daniel LaRusso already knows Hilary Swank, and probably quite well, because they were, wait a second, that's not right. Not Hilary Swank, the character. He knows the character, God, I always forget her name. Pierce, Julie Pierce, yes. Daniel LaRusso already knows Julie Pierce. I really need to watch that movie. Anyway, I think this will come into play in some future season, so keep it in mind.
Still nothing from Tori?
I have to admit, I'm impressed by his commitment to grammar accuracy. Look at his text messages to Tori. Even note here the capitalization, the comma, and especially the exclamation point. He took the time to get all this right while literally running from the police. You have to admit he really cares for the girl, that while literally running from the police, he made sure to add that exclamation point to make sure she knows it's urgent to run.
That's my girl.
Yes, this training montage to open episode 9. Look, I'm just not a fan of this song. Apparently it's by a group called Fifth Harmony, and I think they're overrated. Now, I don't mind the training montage itself, but can you imagine Daniel seeing Sam there and asking what she's looking at on her phone, and Sam answered, just snooping on Miguel's new girlfriend, and Daniel smiles and says,
That's my girl.
And since we're on this montage, poor Sam has gotten a lot of flack for this part with the punching bags. Just look at some of the comments from a post by the Cobra Kai YouTube channel itself. Here's the problem. Watch it again like this. See how Tori's bag is flying all over the place and Sam's just kind of hangs there? Now they're different bags and Sam's is a heavier bag not meant to move. You can compare when Robby was punching it or even Grandmaster Crease. It's meant to stay in place. The problem is, especially putting them side by side, it looks like Tori has all the power and technique. Also, it was probably a bad idea to have Sam throw open-handed strikes, like knife hand strikes or whatever. The result is it kind of looks like she's just slapping the punching bag. It's a little unfortunate, but sometimes moving magic works against you as well. On the other hand,
I can get my leg up that high.
Oh yeah, you want to step in the parking lot and see whose leg can go higher?
well, we do have an answer to that question. Right there. Sam wins by a high margin, too. Part of the problem is Tori's kick is... You know what, forget it. No more of that till season 3, and I never wanted to do it anyway. And since we're on these two in this episode, I will say I never liked the drinking game. Or more specifically, I never liked how it is edited. Like when season 2 first came out, I watched this like 8 times to figure out exactly what happened. Okay, so Sam is wobbling here. And finds her inner balance. This makes sense as balance while drunk is clearly a vital Miyagi-Do move going all the way back to Mr. Miyagi himself. Or even according to the story of the drunk fisherman waking up in China, back to the very origins of the whole art. So it makes sense this is something Sam would know. The thing is, it doesn't seem like Tori lost because she was drunk. She had a head start on Sam for sure, but that wasn't it. Instead, she got distracted. Stingray calls out to her, and she spins to look at him. That spinning causes her to lose her balance and fall. Like, she doesn't seem drunk in the slightest here, and even gets right back up on her own. Then, while Sam is hammered later on, Nobody thinks Tori was drunk while watching these two kiss. I think this is more about focus and balance rather than who can hold their liquor. Tori didn't focus and have balance while Sam did. Besides, Sam is Italian. She has an unfair advantage. Now let's talk about Robby real quick. After season 1 came out, I remember reading a thread on a forum and being a little shocked how many people seriously hated Robby. There's a large number of people online who seriously dislike or outright hate him. Honestly, I've never been a part of that, and actually kind of took me by surprise. But for me, it wasn't that I liked him, I just didn't think much about him. I've always felt, in season 1 especially, that if YouTube said this is too expensive, you have to cut one character, then you could drop him entirely and the story wouldn't change much. Like Miguel could have just been fighting some generic karate fighter in the finals, or even Kyler, and it would mostly be the same. The journey from troubled street kid to Miyagi-Do star student has never interested me much. Like, I haven't even thought about it until right now. His character is more of a vessel for Daniel. He is what brought Daniel back into the karate gig. That started in season 1 and carried through season 2 with a late summer fling with Sam thrown in. One of Robby's most memorable moments in season 2 is where he's putting water in the cereal. The problem is it comes at the expense of the character. Season 1 set Robby up as this street-smart, innovative kid who can run complex scams and figure things out. Now we're supposed to believe he can't figure out that you can eat cereal dry. It hurts the character in exchange for an emotional moment.
You should never have dropped out.
Finally something we agree on. Robby's too smart for that.
I know you're a car salesman, Daniel, but don't oversell it. He's not that smart. Otherwise, he represents Johnny's failings of a father and his potential to make amends. I think season 3 is going to have a lot of focus on Johnny and Robby, and that could be good, but we'll just have to see if it was worth 2 seasons of him floating around. But to reiterate my take on Robby, everything I just said was originally written and intended to be in the Hawk video. It was going to be Hawk, Miguel, and the boys of Cobra Kai, but this part on Robby I cut out, and I don't think much was lost. He's a rather forgettable character. While we're on the boys, I do want to come back to Dimitri. I haven't been the biggest fan of his character, especially in season 2, but there are some things about him I do really like. I always liked how he's the first character in the Karate Kid saga to immediately see through the Miyagi-Do training. I always felt like this was an underrated bit here.
How about we just cut to the chase and you show me the moves?
And broadly speaking, I think Hawk and Dimitri are an example of what happens when you have 2 best friends, but one takes a new interest that the other doesn't. Even though everything that made them friends is still there, Hawk in this case has more going on in his life. I am hopeful for them going forward. Something that always struck me is even as Hawk was off training at Cobra Kai and going in a different direction, he was still trying to include Dimitri. He may have annoyed Hawk and said foolish things, but he was still there at the celebration and they invited him to the beach. Perhaps most importantly, Hawk grabbed Dimitri from the crowd at the Valley Fest demo. Clearly Hawk wanted Dimitri to be a part of what he was experiencing. The problem is Dimitri isn't the type of person. Though I agree with Moon that Hawk shouldn't have attacked Dimitri for a Yelp review, he should have never posted it in the first place. He knew what Cobra Kai meant to Hawk, and saying that was always going to be like a personal attack. Hey, that's what the show is good at. Everyone's at fault. Hey, and speaking of Yelp, in my Season 2 review, I speculated that Yelp was behind the paid sponsor in Episode 5. Turns out that was wrong. Yelp just feels like a stupid paid sponsorship.
Taking it down could hurt my Yelp Elite status.
The actual sponsor was Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I guess I did think it's strange LaRusso Luxury Motors partnered with Enterprise. I guess we can all praise Google for finding ways to make even more money. Personally, I'm looking forward to the Season 3 scene at the Okinawa airport, where in a major homage Easter egg to Karate Kid 2, Chosen is there with a car waiting for Daniel, except he just looks and says, "No thanks, I'm going with Enterprise." So exactly how old is Sam? I mean, she seems to think she's...
8 years ago, I was 8.
Wait a second. 8 plus 8, add 2, carry the 1. 16? Yeah, 16. But there seems to be some continuity here since season 2 is taking place in the summer of 2018. This card here seems to indicate she was born in October of 2002. So if she's turning 1 in 2003, that would make her 15 when this is happening. The problem isn't whoever made this prop, as it comes straight from the dialogue.
16 years ago, grand opening party, remember?
So 16 years ago, Amanda was still pregnant with Sam. Well, think of it like this. If 16 years ago she was pregnant with her, then it would be impossible for her to have had 16 birthdays. That's just how birthdays work. You can't really get around it. I caught this literally in real time on my very first viewing of season 2. Since then, I've seen a lot of other people have noticed it too and mentioned it on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, which I'm thankful for as I didn't feel like the only one. Though this isn't the episode where I caught the mistake, but actually here.
February 4th, 2002. It was a Monday.
I knew Sam had to be born in 2001, and you kind of sensed the show intended Robby to be a little older, so the whole thing felt off, which the later episode confirmed. I'm sure the intention of their age difference is still there, so if Sam's birthday is off by a year, you should assume Robby's is as well. Whatever year they were born in, Robby is about 8 months older. If you care about such things, I would say check that out. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much. Look, I used to be someone that got real upset about these types of errors because they seemed completely preventable, but I think it's better to just let it go and not even think about it, which actually makes a lot of sense because clearly no one else is. A scene I feel like may be a bit overlooked is this one. It's important in the Karate Kid mythos, so to speak, because it is where we see Crease actually teaching his no mercy lesson. At least in this case, the no mercy at the end of the fight, not during the fight. You did watch No Mercy to Save a Life, didn't you? Anyway, I like how Crease is calm and patient, explaining the purpose to his new white belt Tori. This is opposed to the movie where he had no patience with black belt Bobby.
What are you looking at? Finish him!
I like the idea that we're seeing not just a different side of Crease, but his teaching methods. He knows not everyone will get his points right away. Personally, I like the patient and calm Crease. In a way, it's more thrilling knowing how ruthless he can become. I do think the show wants us to see some people are more susceptible to Crease's teachings than others. Obviously, Tori falls in this category as she tells us. I should add that I'm not a big fan of her performance in this scene. Like, I want to see the gears turning in her head as Crease's teachings come into focus. You want to see that aha moment of realization that everything Crease is saying makes perfect sense. You don't really get that. Deep down, Tori has always felt like you have to fight for everything that is yours because other people, the world, will try to take it away from you. Crease here is validating her beliefs, even if she doesn't fully realize it yet. She's getting permission, essentially, to do what she always felt like she had to do. So I would have liked a little more than just a confused look and a head nod. Maybe it's a little rushed, I'm not sure, but otherwise good scene. So the show has a lot of proud 1980s throwback. Nothing wrong with that, as it was a great decade. But it's important in all this 80s nostalgia not to get carried away in assuming everything from that time was good, especially the clothes. Now look at the background of the roller rink scene. Try to tell me anything those people are wearing looks good. The clothes back then were a mess. Just look at these pictures. And even if there was maybe one outfit that wasn't so bad, that doesn't change anything. If you have a carton of eggs and 11 of them are rotten and smell disgusting, but one egg may still be edible, you don't proclaim it to be the greatest carton of eggs ever. No, you throw it in the trash and never speak of it again. So too we should do with 80s clothes. The scariest thing though is this is the result of the free market. That is, profit-seeking companies made these clothes and people bought them from their own free will. If you wanted to make an argument against Reaganomics, you would just show people these pictures. So 80s throwback is great, but let's not get carried away, right? Now it's not directly related to season 2, but loyal viewer Natalie Shannon has asked me a few times why Crease choked Johnny. Now at first it harkens to the idea of psycho sports parents who hate the other team and yell at their kid for letting everyone down, and the poor 5-year-old doesn't even know what's going on. Obviously with Crease, it's a little bit more under the surface. The thing about a military unit in war, and especially Vietnam, was if one person messes up, then the whole unit could get killed. Every man had to be at peak performance. Since we can see Crease clearly has some PTSD and was never able to put Vietnam behind him, we know it's a combination of factors. Crease choking Johnny is part crazy parent, he viewed Johnny as a son, and part military duty where every man is responsible for everyone else. If one man screws up, the whole unit can get killed because in war, there's no such thing as second place. So that trophy wasn't an honor for a good competition, it meant loser. This has always been Crease's problem. He's still living in Vietnam and just couldn't realize it was a karate tournament for high school kids. In Karate Kid mythos, we could say he had a lack of balance and that's what caused him to snap. That's as opposed to someone like Miyagi who found his balance. In fact, we're going to talk about that a little more in the next video because it is season 3 related. So I have no evidence for it, but I've always felt like Mr. Miyagi was Sam's godfather. I think it makes sense as it would have been Daniel's way of bringing him more into the family. Now, according to the timeline, Mr. Miyagi died when she was young, but not so young she wouldn't remember him. For Sam, who is obviously so close to her father, seeing what Mr. Miyagi meant to him, I think impacted her, probably more than Miyagi's relationship with her directly. So you can imagine sometime after he died, a young Samantha promising herself she would honor his legacy, mostly for what he meant to her father. Then, over time, she forgot that promise, went on with her life, at least until here. I think that's what she was thinking about on the bench and how Miguel was doing right by her. The only clue is this line.
It was really important to my family and to me.
She singles out herself there, not just her family, but to me. This is one time I don't think she's being selfish. I think Miguel returning the medal did mean something to her. It doesn't change anything else, it just adds a little more context and may help us see it from Sam's point of view.
So, thank you.
Not that we always want to see things from Sam's point of view, because sometimes it's a foggy, drunken stupor. Obviously, all that drinking caught up with her in a big way. Now, if you were a veteran of a little too much drinking, and let's be honest, most of us are, right? Right? Say yes. Yes. Okay, good. That's almost everyone, although some of you just nodded your head. I don't like having to look at you through the front-facing camera. Anyway, we all know when you've had too much to drink, your body will try to rid itself of all that poison, probably later in the night when you're asleep. Yes, puking your guts out. The other fun drinking game. So sometime late that night, while her parents were screaming in ecstasy, she was at the toilet upchucking everything from the past 24 hours. For Johnny's sake, I think she made it to the bathroom in time, as there's no indication she threw up on his stuff, but I suspect she made a mess of herself. That is, she got some puke on herself. Now we can surmise this because she had to change her shirt, and what's interesting here is what she changes into. Obviously she didn't have a change of clothes, so what she's wearing had to come from Johnny's closet. Now we know Johnny has hung on to various meaningful items for years. He doesn't like to throw things away. So look at this shirt Sam wakes up in. That's not just any shirt, that's a Cobra Kai shirt. See, that's the snake, and you can even see the letters on it. But look closer. That's not just any Cobra Kai shirt she's wearing. That's an old, faded, pink Cobra Kai shirt. We can be damn sure Johnny never wore a pink shirt, so it most certainly belonged to
Allie with an eye.
Yes, Allie was the girl that got away, and all these years he kept her shirt in hope that maybe she would come back and wear it again. Now for season 3, a lot of people want backstory on the origins of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, but I say forget all that. You know what I want? I want to see the exact moment Crease thought pink was the perfect color for a Cobra Kai shirt. Otherwise, you have to feel bad for Johnny. For 34 years, he held on to this shirt, and with it, hope that what he and Allie had was still alive. And now, right before she reaches out, right before they reunite again. This testament to his fire for their relationship walks out the door on the back of the bat-eyed, hungover, vomit-crusted daughter of his lifelong rival. The man can never catch a break. While we don't know if this will come up again, remember this. Sam is now in possession of Allie's old Cobra Kai shirt. Let your Season 3 speculation run wild. So Season 2 came out at midnight on April 24th. On April 25th, I sat down and planned out my Season 2 review and a list of other topics and ideas I wanted to make videos on. We have now reached the end of that list. So with this one, that makes 13 videos and over 3 hours worth of analysis of Cobra Kai Season 2. Everything is covered at one spot or another. I think analyzing and dissecting a good show adds to the enjoyment, so I hope I've been able to help you enjoy and appreciate Cobra Kai more. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't talked very much about Season 3. The videos I've done have been a reaction to news and other things that have come out. My 2 theory videos are really, the first 10 minutes of the first episode? This has been deliberate. I didn't want to tell you what I think Season 3 will be until I properly finished talking about Season 2. So now that's done, it is time. Up next, I'm giving my theory on what Season 3, the whole season, will look like. I'll also include what I think this huge epic fight scene we've been hearing about for months will be. So if you want to hear that, subscribe to the channel. It's only going to get better from here. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you again very soon.
Everyone closed the book on us. They thought we were done. But now they see that the real story's only just begun.